Hi, thank you everyone for tuning in to the podcast. This will be our second episode on the most popular Chinese apps. And yeah, thank you everyone for listening to the first episode on one of the most popular games called Genshin Impact. Received a lot of positive feedback and suggestions on what future episodes should be on. So I think today will be a good opportunity to talk about one of the most popular Chinese apps, or I guess in this case will be more like a international app. So in United States and most other international markets, it's called TikTok. But since it was produced by a Chinese company, ByteDance, so its Chinese name is called Douyin in the China market, which means vibrating sound. So I will have maybe 10 to 15 minutes of content prepared, and for the rest of the time, I will take any questions from the audience in the room. And if you happen to miss the live podcast, you can also send me questions or feedback either through the comment section on Calling, or you can DM me inside the Calling app, or direct message me on Twitter. Yeah, so let's do a quick dive of the history of this app called TikTok. I think for now on, I will just use TikTok to describe this app, and I will probably specify if it's the Chinese version or the American version. So actually, TikTok, it was not its original name. So in 2014, actually, there was this app called Musical.ly, which is musical, period ly. So it was made by a Chinese product designer, Alex Zhu, I believe. He worked at German SaaS company SAP for a while. So then he launched this product, which is I would say pretty close to what TikTok is nowadays, because it's already a short form video app, and this app called Musical.ly has soon gained popularity thanks to a American TV show called Lip Sync Battle. So it's a show where the celebrities will, basically perform a live lip sync performance to some popular songs. And usually after airing of the show, you'll just see a lot of, just um, like common people, mostly like, people in United States will just start to release lip synced their own version of the lip sync videos on Musical.ly. So it's actually already a pretty huge success for Musical.ly. I believe it gains more than like 100 million users in a couple of years. And then in 2016, ByteDance, which is now one of the largest unicorns companies in the world, they launched Douyin, so the TikTok China, um, which is regarded by most people as essentially a clone of the Musical.ly app. So they do pretty much the same thing, where the user can release short form videos. So Douyin, and then TikTok International was released the following month. So both of the versions of the TikTok were released in 2016. So these apps, the TikTok China and you can say the TikTok International, they are essentially the same app using the same infrastructure, and even the user interface are pretty much the same. The only difference is they have two separate database, so can't really see anything happening on the TikTok China if you're using the international app, and vice versa. Um, so yeah, after that, let's see. So right after 2016, 2017, TikTok is merged with Musical.ly through basically, ByteDance acquiring Musical.ly. So pretty much after that, you can see the TikTok just starts to basically skyrocket in terms of its user base. The acquisition of Musical.ly by ByteDance is about $1 billion US. And then TikTok in its final form reaches 1 billion installs on the App Store and Google Play combined in February of 2019. And pretty much after that, TikTok just become one of the most well-known social media platforms in United States and also in the whole global market. I think in this episode we probably won't dive too deep into some of the legal and political issues related to TikTok. I will just briefly mention some of the past events. Yeah, mostly just because I haven't done enough research on these, and some of these are still ongoing events, so don't really have much to say. But if you are really interested about these topics, definitely leave a comment or send me a message. I will definitely do a follow-up episode, hopefully in a couple of months when some of the legal settlements are finished. So, yep. Let's see. So I think that one of the biggest news happened in 2020 is that the former U.S. President Donald Trump, he basically tried to um, urge or just try to push ByteDance to sell TikTok to U.S. companies. I believe Microsoft and Oracle, they were the major bidders on this acquisition of TikTok US. So at that time, I think there were executive orders that banned any US companies to do transaction with TikTok. I think included in that ban is another app called WeChat, which is the most popular social media or messaging app in China. And we'll definitely cover WeChat in the future episode soon. So during these bans, I think that didn't really work out as planned by former President Trump. So what happened in June this year is they basically just lifted the ban. So now TikTok US is just back to its normal. However, it's still a totally independent app from the TikTok China version. So it still uses its own separate database, and so people in China can't really get access to TikTok US and vice versa. Yeah, so this is a pretty interesting business story because ByteDance, the company behind TikTok, they didn't really take any investments from one of the big three tech companies in China. Most people refer to those big three as like BAT. So it's Baidu, Alibaba, and Tencent. Usually, if you are like a internet or tech company that's emerged after like the early 2010s, so usually one of these three companies will be involved in your growth of your business. They will either directly invest in you, or they could just acquire you at some point. So ByteDance is definitely the biggest like unicorn right now in the global market, and they never took any money from the big three, BAT, and I think now they are already much bigger than the smallest of the old like big three. So it's much bigger than Baidu now. And I think we will do another future episode on ByteDance because before like TikTok, their most popular and most successful product is actually called Toutiao. It basically means headlines in Mandarin Chinese. So it's a news aggregation app that once you open, you will just see the aggregation of news from different sources. And it'll be pretty interesting to cover that story, how Chinese company can, rely on this news aggregation app to become one of the biggest unicorns ever. And I don't think that ever happened in any other markets. Yeah, so that's pretty much it for the history of TikTok. I'm sure I missed some of the details, and if the audience have any questions about the history, the present, or future of TikTok, whether it's in US or in China, you're welcome to just ask me any questions right now or after the live broadcast ends. So I will just stay in this room for a few minutes in case people have questions. Yeah, thank you.